Hello traders, welcome to a new trading week. My name is Somi Adeagbo, market analyst at Greenwave Exchange. So the new week is starting with a bounce in the stock market, which is a sign of some minor resurgence, okay, as a result of retail earnings that is expected later in the week. So we've seen the S&P 500 make minor, resurgence, as we can see here from the volatility index, making this bearish move, and might just come down to retest this minor support base. Although the major one is just around here, which is still a sign that the market is still struggling on which direction to take, which direction is the whether to continue in the bearish run or to make important swift to the upside. Okay, so we saw that happen last week, but it was not followed with a proper sustenance as prices plummeted again all across the major stock indices. Okay, so let's look at the US 500. So the US 500 seems to have completed these this diagonal structure, this wedge structure, after price topped at 4100 last week and then plummeted. It seems to be having that. So if we could see price rallied above 4100 this week, probably we're going to see the important resurgence, which could be much bigger than the one that we saw last week, which was this one. Okay, and otherwise we might just see probably another bounce, another minor bounce, and price drop again. Okay, so but I do really think that it seems price is making some important bottom here, so we just have to watch out for what happens. So we have Fed minutes on Fed meeting minutes on Wednesday. We also have the US core PCE figure on Friday, after the Tuesday's PMI figures that will come out. So these are some of the very big major events that we can watch out for. Okay, now looking at the dollar, the dollars is okay, yeah. So the dollar is continuing the bearish run that started last week. Not really last week. That should be the upper week. Okay, that should be last week. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that should be like the week before. That's the Friday before the start of last week. So we've seen that move continue downwards, just as we expected in the previous update, last week update. And now with price, with this this rising trend and not being able to provide support for the price, it seems we're going to see a breach of 102.35, which is an indication of further bearish run. So it seems to be having probably an impulsive drive. Maybe later we're going to see a correction, and if it ends up as a correction, then we'll see further downward move below 100.97. So it all depends on what we have with the core PCE on Friday and the FOMC minutes on Wednesday. So those two events are very important, but until then, I think we're going to continue to see further decline on the dollar, okay, across board. So with the euro US dollar making important surge upwards, so this is a breather, so to speak. And so with price making a fresh support at 1.0538, it seems we're going to see a touch of these two zones, two supply zones, which is just with the 100% Fibonacci extension of A from B in between the two zones. So we're going to see price, most likely going to see price touch 1.0650 up to 1.0700, unless we see a very sharp break below 1.0538. So with this outlook, it seems we're going to see the euro US dollar push higher today, and the dollar yen will most likely push lower. Okay, it's also moving just as we expected from the last week update. And so I think we're going to see a touch of 126 and 125.5 today. That is if the price doesn't break above 129.84. So we're still in the bearish correction for the dollar yen, and so we are going to I expect this to continue today, unless we see a very massive change of events or change of this structure, which is going to be primarily led by a break above 129.84. Okay, and the dollar CHF has actually dropped sharply, which is also very much expected. So I was looking at least a drop to this 38.2 retracement last week, which is around 0.9730, and price dropped just as expected after breaking below this rising trend line to complete this impulsive surge. And so with that, we've now seen the biggest, let me say the fastest dip, okay, on the dollar CHF since the beginning of this year. So it's an indication that we're going to see much lower dip, and so this looks very much impulsive, and so I'm going to expect price to fall to 0.96 today, and then maybe probably we're going to see a bounce afterwards and then further decline to retest this top here, okay, or the zones around here, so which is around 0.935 and 0.94. So that's very much expected. So we're going to see what happens, because we have a whole lot of big events this week, which could actually turn the market in any ways. So the pound dollar is moving higher as well as expected, so price is just around this supply zone. I expect it to actually breach it into the 100% Fibonacci projection of this move from here, so which is around 1.2666. all right, which is also just around this resistance level, and so price might just continue up to this next supply zone here, which is just which is very much above 1.27, around 1.27 and 1.28, maybe slightly below, just around 1.2750. So there is still more room for the pound dollar to move today, so I expect it to push higher. And so the New Zealand US dollar is also making fast move, so the market is already pricing another 50% rate hike for the RB NZD coming later this week. So the market is looking at RB NZD raising interest rate to 2% from 1.5%, which is which is part of the things, okay, that is driving the New Zealand further upside. And so further rally is expected to at least 65.73 here, or maybe even above. And if currently price is breaking above 100%, which is an indication that the ABC correction that we had in mind last week might actually lead to an impulsive move, which could drive New Zealand dollar US dollar upwards. But of course, that's also going to be very much dependent on what happened on the S&P 500. So the Aussie and the New Zealand didn't really flow with the S&P 500 last week. So the crash on the S&P 500, or let me say the minor dip, okay, the fast dip on the S&P 500 last week didn't have a major impact on the Aussie and New Zealand dollar, which is an indication that the two currencies are looking strong at the moment. And so if you can see the price just returning to risk on this week after all the major events, then further rally upwards, big moves upwards will be expected on the New Zealand dollar up to 0.66, maybe even higher, as price makes a possible impulse move towards a complete recovery from the bearish correction that we have seen since when now, since that should be since February. Okay, so might see important rally. All right, so the same thing, similar scenario on New Zealand US dollar, but it's not really as strong as the similar scenario on the Aussie dollar, pardon me, but it's not as strong as what we are seeing on the New Zealand US dollar. So because price is still yet to get to 100% extension of this move from here. Okay, so we expect price to get to 0.7170 and even up to 72.50 and 0.73. And so in another move that can look impulsive, but a lot of things are there for us to watch. What is happening in China, what happens with the S&P 500, and the general risk sentiment in the market are very much expected, are very much things that we need to probably look into as the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar are pushed higher. Okay, so the USDCAD is making move downwards, just like we expected from last week update as well. But it seems the price is making some accumulation just below, just above this key demand zone, And so with this ending diagonal forming here, maybe we're going to see an important correction to 1.29, which is a very key supply zone before the price start to drop. So while the dollar is moving down, we also have to note that the CAD is not only driven, okay, by the general risk sentiment. It's also being driven by what is happening with the oil price. And so the oil price seems to be falling at the moment, although we saw minor resurgence last week. But if the oil price continued to drop as we actually expected, then CAD will drop also, which might not make USDCAD to flow downwards, might make it actually to lag against the other major. So might see a bounce up to this place depending on what happened with the oil price. But if the oil price continue to push higher and recover from the last week dip, then I think we're going to see this demand zone smashed up to down to 1.27 and maybe even 1.26. Okay, this is the next demand zone right here around 1.25. Might actually smash this level and push much more lower. Okay, but if the oil price falls, then USDCAD will most likely struggle to break below here and then maybe even make some minor resurgence up here or maybe a little bit below before it starts to drop. And then for the gold price, gold is moving into this key supply zone just the way we expected last week. Okay, and so we're going to see what happens around here. So if we see a push down from here, then I think that should be another selling opportunity because this is still wildly downwards. And so maybe gold is going to return to its normal risk off mode this time around, as the US 10-year yield seems to be making some recovery around there, maybe some accumulation or maybe some diagonal stuffs like that. And so we need to very much watch what happens around the US 10-year. So if it breaks upwards, so like this trend line, so if it breaks upwards, then we should expect a further decline on the gold price. But further downwards move means more resurgence on gold price. So it's important that we look at what's happening on the US 10-year, as they have very, very strong correlation. Okay, so if the 10-year falls, then we're going to see a push above this supply zone into this supply zone around 1900. But if we have a break upwards in the direction of the US 10-year, then gold price might reject this further push above this supply zone, and price might start dropping to take this 1786 down to 1770 or maybe even 1750 in the medium term. And then Bitcoin broke upwards again out of this triangle. So last week we were talking about price getting to 32 to 34,000 as we as this bullish correction continues. So we have a W here. So with this X completing a triangle, it seems we're having a double zigzag Elliott wave pattern developing there. So further move upwards to 61.8% projection of W from X, which is around 32,000. 100% projection, which is around 34,000, is very, very much likely. Okay, although the downward move is still very much in there. So it seems this is a correction, and at the end price will most likely drop further to 23,000, which is the second target I'm looking out for on Bitcoin. And so that's going to be the end. Okay, I need to look at the US oil. Okay, I need to look at the US oil. So the oil price is making very nice recovery this week so far after this sharp move. So we also talked about price dropping from here last week, and it actually did so with this massive dip to $105. But we've seen this very big surge, corrective surge in around that. So I'm still looking very much bearish on the oil price. I'm still looking very much bearish because we're still in a corrective phase. So we seems to complete this W here, the first leg of the correction, and it is like the second leg of the correction, and then the third leg is still developing. It's still at the initial stage. So not really very sure what the driver is going to be, but technically it looks like the oil price is going to continue downwards to $80. So that's like my medium term target for oil. But that's the invalidation level is still going to be around this around between 115.5 and 117. Okay, so between here, around here. So if the price now breaks above this zone, okay, then we'll have to start looking at an alternative outlook to the oil price. Maybe start considering where to get a bullish entry. But so far, it still looks very much bearish. And if you can see a break, an important break downwards again, I mean an impulsive break downwards, sharp one downwards, then I think oil price is going to continue to flow downwards. Okay, all right, so thank you very much for watching this, guys. I'm going to see you in the next one. Have a very wonderful trading week.